Step in the ring, it's time to play. Coach Renee and Matt lead the way. Radical MMA brings the heat. The martial culture podcast can't be beat. Punches fly, minds collide. Technique and heart side by side. Tune in now, don't hesitate. The martial culture podcast, great and straight.
And you know that's a computer because no one can hold a note that long.
I don't know. Maybe Beyonce could, or not Beyonce, but Mariah Carey.
Right? Yep.
Mariah Carey.
She'd
Right?
break glasses or something too.
Yeah. So it's great to be back.
Great.
Lots of things to talk about. I'm catching up. So the last episode, we said that one of my students, Lenny, was making his debut, and he did, and it was a good result, but a lot of bumps in the road. Crazy. So this is a public service announcement to all people under 21. Okay. Read the fine print. I can't tell you how many times I have people, I send me email, this is what Radical's about, and they just haven't read anything, right? Read. I know your attention spans are like that of an insect, but read.
Can you text it to me?
in emojis.
Yeah, do emojis.
Anyway,
Audiobook.
So the information on the fight is given to the fighters, like how to weigh in, where to go, all these things. So the fight's happening in Jamaica, Queens, but the weigh-ins are all the way out in Long Island.
He went to Jamaica, the island.
That's right.
Oh,
No, to the island. To complain.
I'm here, man.
You can't do that. That's racist.
Okay. Sorry.
Right?
Me and Chet, we have a pass.
So he was supposed to go to the weigh-ins where they told him to go, but he never read the piece of paper I gave him. He never read it, and he went to go to the venue instead of the weigh-ins. I'm like, and he's cutting weight, and it's his very first time cutting weight, and he was also a little sick before, so it was a little hard cut. And then he's supposed to weigh in, and then rehydrate. So he gets there, and he's like, "There's nobody here." And I'm like, "What do you mean there's nobody? There's always someone there." He's like, "No, there's nobody here. They said there's no weigh-ins." I'm like, "Where are you?" He goes, "At the venue." I'm like, "Oh, he must mean the weigh-in venue." I don't know. Well, let me call Chris. Let me see what's going on, right? And I didn't realize he meant the actual venue of the event, right? And I'm like, finally, we're like, after they talk to the promoter, he's like, "He's not here. We're here. We're weighing in. Everybody's here." And I'm like, "What? What's going on?" I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I'm at this place." And I'm like, "That's not where you're supposed to be." "Did you read the paper?" And I did. I lost my temper. I'm like, "I can't believe you didn't read the paper I told you to read." And he's like, "Ooh." So then he took an Uber and he made it there and he hydrated up. But it was like he was an hour extra suffering in the cold. And this is like super crazy cold weather.
Oh my God.
You know, an extra hour of like not eating.
Another pound or two.
I know, right? Like not eating or anything, drinking, nothing. He goes in and I think he almost missed weigh-ins because there's just a commission there that has to like watch it. I think he almost missed it. And then finally he got it in. But he was like all frazzled.
Oh my God.
So then he hydrates back up. He feels better. So he has a lot of content online, which is technical content, like him doing striking combinations, things like that. It's like what he does to promote him. He's a personal trainer, and he wants to kind of put himself out there, and I think that's fantastic, you know. And it's always quality, like, you know, good stuff. It was not stupid Instagram type stuff. It was literally legitimate, some striking combinations and workouts and things like that. It's really cool, right? So, but in a lot of these, you can see that he's actually pretty good. So we heard that one of the opponents was really stalking his social media.
Oh.
And I think, you know, looking at that, it's also the way you do the videos and stuff. It can make you look very impressive, even when you're not. Like, this happens all the time. Guys who are not good can look really good on camera because of editing and, you know, all sorts of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But Lenny's good, right? And but I think this kid who had more fights than Lenny and more experience, but he saw it and he's like, got freaked out. So we get to the venue and we see the guy. We think we see the guy, right? And we're like, that's guy. And I'm like, is that him? And it's hard to tell because everybody's wearing these hoodies and this and that, and we're not sure. And he was like, I don't know if that's him. And then we talked to the promoter, and because one of his teammates goes, yeah, he's not coming. And we're like, what? He's like, oh, he got injured. This is a person who weighed in the day before. He weighed in the day before, so like got everything done. But what he had was the long, dark night of the soul. You weigh in the next day, you know you're going to fight. And then you realize, I'm not a warrior enough to take my licks in case I might lose, you know? So that's the long, dark night of the soul where he's sitting in the bed, looking at the ceiling, going, tomorrow I'm going to get my ass kicked. And he never showed up.
Damn.
Yeah. And, you know, injury, no injury. You weighed in the day before. Like, you didn't say anything. You got to come. You got to go.
Injury.
Like, it's like also nobody fights uninjured ever. That's just not, that's true with all sports. Everybody has some injuries, right? So we were pretty pissed. And this other guy stepped up because he was actually had a fight. He has MMA experience, but he had a grappling match on that card. But he'd been training for an MMA fight that fell through, so he went to a grappling match. But he knew that, and so he was training. He had a camp and everything, and then promoter said, "Well, him and him, how about that? Because now both of you guys get an MMA fight." And I want to say thank you to the opponent who stepped up, and it's hard to step up right there, and it takes a lot of guts. Yeah. And but not to disrespect him, it's just the grappling's a different level. And although he clipped Lenny in striking him, the kid has some hands, but the minute it went to the ground, it was over very quickly. It was a 90-second fight and choked him out. Rear naked choke. So it was good. I mean, but the other guy, it was a good debut. The guy we fought was amazing courage. Great to stand up and show. And, you know, I'm sure he will fight him again. Maybe he'll improve and, you know, give us an even tougher fight, you know? Yeah. But great guy. And then the guy who didn't show up, screw you coward. You know, like, dude, come on, man. Wow. You know, this thing. And, you know, it's funny because the kids have this slang. You ever heard it, like NPC, thing like that, right? So it's like from old school role playing or something, right? But you think you're the main character. You think you're the guy. But sometimes life shows you that you're just the NPC. You're just the guy that's going to get smoked on his way to make the champion look good. Yeah. You don't ever think about that. Every time you imagine yourself in the cage, you never imagine yourself getting your shit beat out of you. Like, nobody does that, right? Only the really smart guys do. They start envisioning and visualizing the problems they might have and how to overcome them. But I don't think anybody visualizes, you know, themselves getting hurt and getting knocked unconscious or arm broken or anything like that, because you are creating this story of yourself as the main character. Right. But that's not the way life always is. Yeah. Life does not reward you because you're you. It rewards the guy who's better, who works harder, who's more prepared, harder trained, and you know, sometimes you have to deal with that. Now, guess what? Even if you are on the losing end of the fight, that can be great because really, as long as you take your experience and learn from it, then the loss doesn't matter in the long scheme of things because you got better. I don't know any MMA fighter other than Khabib has a perfect record. George St. Pierre, he lost to Matt Serra, right? I mean, everybody loses. And he came back stronger, much better. Right. And he also understood the mistakes he made. He said he was too much into the doing the press stuff, and he lost press's training time. And then he didn't prepare enough. He didn't game plan up because he was so busy with the press, you know, the PR stuff from the champion. And he's like, I won't do that again. Like, I got if I have a fight, I'm going to train. Right. Yeah. You know, smart. So he learned from it and came back stronger. So, you know, even if you are the NPC at one point, that doesn't mean that someday you can't, if you learn from it, you grow from it, you can't grow and have your own hero's journey, you know? But sometimes you have to understand, you have to take your licks. You have to take your licks. That's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's better to show up and take your licks than run away from 'em. You know? It's something I don't respect when people say they're going to do something and they don't do it. But anyway, so the fight was pretty cool. And now,
How long ago was that? This feels like a while ago, right? Like
it was like 2 months ago. Yeah. It was in February, right?
Wow.
Almost 2 months ago, right? Early February, right? No, actually, it's March now. So it was about a month ago. Yeah, about a month ago. But
So it's a pretty quick fight. Now probably didn't get injured at all. He's ready,
Not at all.
Ready to go again?
No, yeah. And actually, we have, speaking of a hard schedule, so Devin, Rafael, Lenny now, and there's another fighter man making his debut, Malcolm, will all be fighting here in New York in a show called VFL, which is a really cool show. And we're really excited to be on it. And Devin will be fighting for a title belt. But Devin and Rafael will actually be fighting 2 weeks before that on the UFC Fight Pass show, CFFC.
Hell yeah.
So it's 2 fights in 2 weeks back to back. That's like I was telling them, it's like the old days. I had this friend, old days in the Valley Tudo. Sometimes he would fight once every weekend in a Valley Tudo match, no time limit, right? You just keep fighting. Like it takes a level of guts and skill and gumption and just courage, everything to just say, yeah, I'm going to fight back to back. It's amazing. So I'm really proud of these guys. Again, win, lose, or draw, they're winners in my book because they're standing up. Yeah, we have some really good opponents on both times. So I'm very, very excited. And excited to have the 2 guys fight for the belt. And then 2 of my guys, Lenny's fighting again, and he'll have hopefully he's a tough opponent. And then he's this very experienced kickboxer with some good jiu-jitsu. And then another guy has his opponent is from Glover Teixeira's gym. He's a tough guy. And, trains with Alex Pereira and all those guys.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be, if we get the victory, it's going to be really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
It's exciting. Wow. You got a good team over there.
Well, we'll see.
Radical MMA.
Yeah, let's see how we do, you know? But yeah, we've been doing pretty well.
Does your fight team have a name? Or is it just Radical MMA's fight team?
Radical Fight Team. Yeah.
You got merch and stuff?
So yeah, we have like things that say Radical on them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we have merch. You want some merch?
Yeah, I need a rat guard. Rash guard.
Rash guard. You need some rat guard?
Rash guard.
Actually, there's one. I have one. My wife made it to me. She goes, Rat Guard Army.
There you go.
And, but I'm the only one that has it.
Didn't you invent a new move recently? Didn't you? You invented a new move, didn't you? Or it's on the hush hush? Yeah, we can't talk about it. Yeah, sorry. Come see it in action.
Well, there's nothing. It's interesting. It's like very hard to say that they're anything new. It's just slight variations on things, but I think it's a very, very strong variation. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, we've been in the lab developing some cool stuff.
We haven't seen it in action in the public yet, or it's
no comment.
Let's not talk
no
about
comment
it.
until after the fight. Well, we've been testing it out. That's cool. Anyway,
but look at Lenny's Instagram.
Yeah.
You get scared.
Actually, he was really happy because Conor McGregor started following him. So he's like, I'm kind of good.
That's like, cool. It's going to throw something at you. Be careful.
I know, right?
Thanks. Short fuse on that guy.
Yes. So then, I don't know. Did you watch the BMF UFC fight? No. So, I don't know. You ever hear the BMF belt? You've heard of
Bad
it, right?
motherfucker.
Yeah, right. It's the most ridiculous, marketing ploy, because what happened was they had one card that fell through and it didn't have a championship belt on the line, and they didn't want to lose pay-per-views, so they created this belt of BMF, right? That being said, there's some unspoken idea that you're gonna make it a little bit more of a tough man. It's like the championship belt for the guys that aren't the champions.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
And so there was the famous one, which is Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And I don't know if you remember that. They pointed, one of them pointed in the middle of the ring, and they walked in, they just nose to nose hit each other. And and Max knocked Gaethje out, right? Like it was crazy. It was just like nose to nose, just hitting each other, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool." I think that is ridiculously stupid, right?
Yeah,
that is like
it's not funny.
that is just so freaking dumb. Yeah. And but because of that, the aura behind the MMF is like, oh, they're tough dudes. Mm-hmm. But you know what? You know what's better than toughness? Smarts. And Oliveira, his grappling is on another level. Like, I mean, yeah, Makhachev beat him and all that, but still, he's amazing. He's more submission victories than anybody else in MMA. Right. So Max Holloway is a very interesting guy because he has more significant strikes than anyone else in MMA. So it's like, whoa, where are you going to stand toe-to-toe with Max Holloway and just trade with him? If you are, you're an idiot. And actually, the other thing was Oliveira was coming off a KO loss to Topuria too. So, you don't want to take too much trauma 2 fights in a row. Mm-hmm. So what he did for 5 rounds, super technical, took him down, mounted him, took his back and tried to choke him out. Took almost no damage the entire fight. And it was a masterclass of grappling. That being said, and I'll say that very interesting, a lot of people said this fight was super boring because it was like, you got taken down, Max got taken down, right? And the takedowns are beautiful, though. They were like so cool. They were these body lock Greco throws, like what we call mat returns. So Oliveira just scooped him up, broke his balance, and just tilted his spine to the floor and smashed him to the floor. It was unbelievable. Wow. Like some of these throws were like so good. But a lot of people say, oh, it's the same thing. He just took him down, mounted him, took his back, yada, yada, yada. That's because you don't understand grappling. Mm-hmm. Now, Max Holloway, after the fight, he lost the fight. After the fight, Pedro Sauer and his instructor, Pedro Sauer was a very famous jiu-jitsu guy, and that's their part of the Pedro Sauer organization. After the fight, Pedro Sauer gave Max Holloway his black belt in jiu-jitsu. But he lost. So you're like, well, you got dominated grappling. Mm. Now, this is what I'm saying, where loss is not really a loss because Oliveira's finishing percentage of rear naked chokes is incredibly high. He takes your back. Most 99% of the human population will not survive. They're going to get choked out. Yeah. Like, this guy's too freaking good, and he's strong and fast and technical. He's on your back, and he knows that back game so well. It's like one of his best positions. He choked out Gamrot. He choked out Gaethje. He choked out so many guys. Just so many took their back, choked them out. Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, 5 rounds. Max Holloway got taken down all 5 rounds. 5 5-minute rounds, at 25 minutes. And he defended the choke for not quite 25 minutes because they were striking a little bit, but let's say 20. 20 minutes of basic defending the rear naked choke against one of the best guys to do the rear naked choke in modern MMA. And he survived because he was doing really smart things. I'm watching it on the edge of my seat. Oh my God, look at that defense. Look at that defense. Oh, that was so cool. Oh, he shut him down there. Oh. And you could also see that Oliveira's like, shoot, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, right? Yeah. Now, he took his back, but he couldn't finish.
Wow.
Holloway was really defending well, right? That being said, he couldn't segue into offense. But you got to give him a lot of credit for withstanding one of the best submission fighters to ever do it in one of the most dominant positions there is to be in, right? Yeah. And it was amazing. And I totally agree. Like, that level of defense is high black belt level. That was great. And it was not boring at all. And you know what? You want to talk BMF? Max Holloway's BMF for never quitting. Imagine you get taken out every single time you engage. Most people would get broken there. They would get broken. Mm-hmm. They would be like, I give up. And you can see this all the time. They just kind of wilt and fade and, they're like, no, you have to like, oh, here's adversity. All right, I'm gonna show you what I have. Adversity, take that. No, I'm not giving up. And you could see he got taken out, but he never was like, he wasn't like a beaten dog, Mm-hmm. He was like in it. Okay, I'm not gonna get choked. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, right? He was in it in every single second of the fight. Wow. That's a tough dude. And it's smart and tough. Not just tough. Smart and tough.
Wow.
And but Oliveira just showed that if you don't have really good takedown defense and you don't have good positional defense, you don't belong in modern MMA in the conversation of the best.
Is it possible to defend against a choke? What if you like just worked out your neck muscles so much that they were so big? Like the mountain from MMA.
Yeah, right. No, that's really interesting because there was a catch wrestler from. It wasn't George Hackenschmidt. I forget who it was. It was one of these really famous catch wrestlers from 100 years ago. And one of his tricks was to make a noose, like a hangman's noose, tie it up, put his neck in it, and jump off and hang there for like 10 minutes.
He's training being choked.
No, I mean it was like a performance thing.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and he said, no human being can choke me unconscious. Damn. And as far as I know, I don't think he was ever choked unconscious.
Wow.
So I don't know. Like anatomically, everybody should be able to be rear naked choked. Mm-hmm. But there are people who have that harder choke. So especially when guys have like almost no neck and they have big shoulders. So it's like hard to get in there, you know? And that's number one. But just in sense of raw strength, I remember that. I've always thought about that. Is he defending the choke because nobody really good choked him? Or was it that his neck was so strong that he could withstand it? Guaranteed his neck was strong. How can you hang for like 5-10 minutes in a hangman's noose and not die? That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. And his neck was enormous. I mean, it was inhuman. It wasn't George Hackenschmidt. It was
David Carradine, I think.
Nah. But the people don't get that joke. Google David Carradine.
I'm choking.
You're choking.
Yeah.
Speaking of old school martial art stars,
wow.
Do you know who passed away today?
No.
Chuck Norris.
No way.
Yeah, Chuck Norris just died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 86 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was being treated in Hawaii for some sort of medical condition that he might have had. And then he arrested under the table and died on the table.
Holy cow.
And
that's sad.
Yeah. So Chuck Norris is a very interesting guy because people don't realize that he really was a martial artist. My instructor fought Chuck Norris 3 times. My instructor is Miyazaki Tonotaro. And while Sensei Miyazaki was outweighed by a lot, he said Chuck Norris was one of the toughest guys he ever faced. And this was in full contact knockdown karate. It was not point tournaments, like just points. It was actually like we really hit each other. Mm-hmm. And he fought him 3 times. He won once and lost twice. Gave up, like 70 pounds, but still, he said he was the toughest guy. One of the toughest guys he ever fought in striking. And then to his credit, Chuck Norris is an amazing guy. He's one of the very first people to encounter Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was traveling in Brazil for a movie, and he asked the hotel guy, hey, is there some martial arts around here I could train? And he's like, yeah, Gracie Academy. Oh. So he goes there, gets the shit beat out of him. Yeah. And Chuck Norris is actually a judo black belt, too. People don't realize it. He's a Tang Soo Do, Korean karate black belt, but also did judo in the military, I think. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I can grapple. And then he got smoked. And it became his lifelong love affair with martial arts. And I'm telling you, I would not be here teaching jiu-jitsu if it wasn't for Chuck Norris. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you why. Because he started training with the Gracies, but he had a little bit of, I don't want to put anything in people's eyes, but he had a little bit of problem with Rorion Gracie, the guy who created the UFC, who is known as driving a hard bargain in terms of contracts and what's expected. And he's like, he kind of turned Chuck Norris off. But the cousins of the Gracies, the Machados, were also teaching under the Gracies at the time in California. So very often, Chuck Norris would be taking private lessons under one of my instructors, Higan Machado, and in jiu-jitsu instructor. And finally he left, and then he said, oh yeah, I'm not going to train with the Gracies anymore, or whatever. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But the Machados were like, well, we left too. And he's like, oh, that's cool. Why don't you open up your own school? And they're like, well, we have no money. He's like, don't worry about it. I got you covered. The very first Machado school to ever open was funded by Chuck Norris and Bob Wall. You know Bob Wall from Enter the Dragon? Yeah. Those are the guys that funded him. They were in like a strip mall in California, and they're like, yeah, just don't worry about paying rent. We took care of everything. Go teach. And they supported him for like a while until they could open up a school. They opened this school a little closer to where my sister lives in Redondo Beach. And that's how, when I started training there. But they got started. They were going to go home back to Brazil. They got started because of Chuck Norris's generosity. Do you ever watch Walker, Texas Ranger?
I think I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah. So the Machados are on like at least 20 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're in it all the time, especially Carlos, who moved down to Texas because they started filming there, and Chuck Norris set him up in teaching in Texas. So it was like
wow, nice
a man
guy.
who was just like giving back to the community really, really well.
This is touching. He's all over the place.
Yeah. He's a great guy. I mean, I have to admit, I have never watched a Chuck Norris movie in its entirety.
I've only seen him like in the Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen, right? And because I just don't, I just don't find them very entertaining.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's an action star for a reason. There are a lot of people who appreciated his movies.
That fight with Bruce Lee and I can't remember what the name of the movie, but that's a
the one in
fight.
the Coliseum.
Yeah, that's amazing choreography in that one.
Yeah, that was a great one. What's that movie called?
I'm so upset about I can't figure this out.
Chinese Connection, I think it's called. Anyway, but yeah, that's a great, the one that takes place in Italy, and he fights him in the Coliseum at the end. Yeah.
Way of the Dragon?
Is that it? Yeah. That might be
10-minute battle in the Coliseum.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way of the Dragon. Yeah, there you go.
Return of the Dragon in the United States.
So not never really found him incredibly entertaining, but definitely an inspirational guy. And you know what? I was actually surprised because I've seen him a few times, not recently, but a few times on TV doing awards. The guy aged very well. I mean, he was never like infirm, and like he was constantly in really, really decent, good shape, and would teach and has his whole organization filled with like people who are trained for real, and good for him.
Kids and stuff, or
I have no idea. I'm sure he does. He's kind of like that guy that probably has like 10 kids. But yeah, we opened that, and you know what? I will say this:
4, 5.
every time I've seen him talk about other martial artists, he was a class act. Unfortunately, like political opinions and my political opinions don't gel at all, like at all. Yeah. But when that's fine though. But when it came to talking about other martial artists or something like that, the man was always a class act. He had nothing bad to say about any martial artist. And you know what? He never said anything bad about the Gracies, even though they had their little bit of disagreement. Right, but I never heard him badmouth anyone ever. This is a classy guy. Classy guy in that sense, And definitely gave back to the martial arts community. And so, I think he gave the world a lot of joy through his movies too. Wow. And his TV show,
Who's there's nobody really current that's like filling that gap for like Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris.
I would say, you probably disagree with me.
Okay.
Jason Statham. I actually really like watching.
I like his movies.
Yeah. But I mean, actually, I like the way he moves.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the few guys in the he trains quite. Yeah. He's actually originally like a competitive swimmer. Yeah. But he is, I think he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but he did kickboxing, and he's like serious martial artist. Yeah. And his fight choreography, while it's still Hollywoodized, you're like, no, that guy knows how to fight. You're like, that guy doesn't know how to fight. That's one thing was the Christian Bale in the Batman movies. You're like, that guy doesn't know how to fight. like you don't move like a fighter. You move like a lobotomized chimpanzee. Like you don't move like a fighter. You don't move in that way.
He's better than Ben Affleck.
Not in the fight scenes.
No,
okay.
yeah,
In the fight scenes, I think Ben Affleck was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about? Did you see?
Because Ben
Pattinson?
Affleck's actually kind of boxes, and stuff. Like, I'm not saying in the acting. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying just the fight scenes. Yeah. I thought Ben Affleck did a better job.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never saw the Pattinson one.
Yeah, I mean, but of course, the Christian Bale the Batman movies are still like amazing, and the other ones are not that great. But
I haven't seen Statham in anything in a while though.
he comes out with like a terrible movie once a year. They're all terrible. They're all the same movie. They're like, I think this is why he's like Chuck Norris. Like, they're all kind of like the same movie.
Yeah, Fast and Furious and Expendables.
Well, he has Beekeeper, then he had Working Man, then he had this, and they're all the same movie. A guy wants to mind his own business, gets mixed up in something, and then has to beat everybody up.
Yeah.
And it's always the same movie. Oh, you know what he was good in too? The Mechanic. It was like he played this undercover assassin, and that was the Mechanic one was good. 2 was terrible, but just the way he moves, I like it because it entertains me, and it doesn't look. It allows me to suspend my disbelief enough that I can't be like, no, that's wrong. Sometimes I see what other people are doing. I'm like, even if it's a correct move, they're doing it so poorly, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can't sustain my disbelief here.
Right.
I
haven't seen any movies lately that have been martial arts ish. Wicked 2 had some good fight scenes with the monkeys.
With Elphaba or Elphaba.
Yeah.
I had to sit through Wicked 1 with my wife. This is what marriage is. Compromise.
Yeah, I saw it just 'cause
painful,
my wife.
teeth gritting compromise.
It was a good movie.
Wicked?
You didn't like it?
I hated it.
Oh.
I mean, I was like, I want that time back. I really hated it.
Oh.
Though
So
Michelle
you haven't seen the second one?
Yeoh was pretty good.
So you haven't seen 2.
I will not see 2. I crossed the line there.
You want me to sit in a movie theater and watch Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo for 2.5 hours? I'm not going to complain about it.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. But it's interesting that there's not like a young, like 20-year-old guy that's like the new Bruce Lee action star, really.
No. You're right.
Because we're stuck with Chalamet playing ping pong.
Yes. Did you see that movie, Marty Supreme? No. I haven't seen it. No. I enjoyed Dune. Actually, I enjoyed it, Dune. I like those movies. But Timothy Chalamet is not my favorite actor by any means. It just doesn't,
I like
doesn't
the
vibe with me.
The fight scenes in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Those aren't bad. Yeah, those aren't bad.
Like a stunt guy. And he had that fight with the
supposedly Bruce Lee, but yeah. And that's actually like a depiction of Bruce Lee that is like really unfair.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Because first of all, people would say, "Oh, Bruce Lee was arrogant." I mean, do you know what it was like being the only Asian guy in Hollywood ever?
Everybody wanted to fight you.
Yeah, and not only that, you're like getting disrespected all the time. Right? So maybe he had a little bit of armor to say, look, I'm not going to take this crap, right? Yeah. The other thing was that interaction between Brad Pitt's character and the supposed Bruce Lee character really did happen. Mm-hmm. But it didn't happen like that. It happened with Bruce Lee and Gene LeBell, a very famous judo guy, on the set of Green Hornet. Mm-hmm. And Gene LeBell was a kind of stuntman, choreographer kind of thing. And Bruce Lee was like, "Oh, well, you're a martial artist." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, well, they kind of had a exchange of technique. And Gene LeBell was lifelong friends with Bruce Lee after this. So that tells you something, right? Right? Means Bruce Lee acted in a way that was akin, like made him respect him, right? So Gene LeBell, as I heard, shot in, put him in a fireman's carry, and picked Bruce Lee up. Now remember, Bruce Lee is only like 135 pounds. Gene LeBell's like 215. Mm-hmm. So he just picks him up, puts him in a fireman's carry, and supposedly Bruce Lee says, "Hey, you got to put me down." He's like, "I'm not going to put you down because I put you down, you're going to kick me in the face." He's like, "I'm not going to put you down until you promise not to kick me in the face." He's like, "Okay, I promise." And he puts him down, and they become friends. And Bruce Lee teaches Gene LeBell striking, and Jean LaBelle teaches Bruce Lee grappling. And all the grappling in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's like seminal text on his art, is from Jean LaBelle, right? And Jean LaBelle's like amazing. They used to call him the toughest man alive, you know?
Yeah, I think Bruce Lee's family had an issue. Like they sued the production company, I think, because of that.
Did they? I didn't know, but yeah, I mean, it's like they should.
Yeah.
It was. So they took a real scene out of context and then totally changed it up.
Yeah.
Right, and then just smeared one of the few Asian American heroes that we can look to in the cinema. I mean, that's changing now. There's a lot more Asian American representation, but or Asian representation. But it's still like is anybody? You said there's nobody like Chuck Norris. Is there anybody like Bruce Lee? There's nobody like Asian. Like, I mean, outside of Asia, I'm like, yeah, Jet Li and Jackie Chan, but they weren't as popular here. You know, especially Jet Li. You know. It's like more minor. There are many people don't know Jet Li's name, but everybody knows Bruce Lee's name. You know, so you know, you have to give Bruce Lee some slack because he dealt with an incredibly racist time. So maybe he was a little bit abrasive at the time, but in Hollywood, I could see that. Now, that being said, everybody says Bruce Lee was a little bit of I don't want to say a hothead, but he was an intense guy, right? And he was into like really testing out his skills, as I understand it. I wasn't there, but most of the great martial artists I know have that kind of intensity about them. I've met some really amazing martial artists, and many of them are like, you just feel the tension, right, coming out of their body because they're just very intense people. And I've been accused of being that too. Very, very intense. I take what I do very seriously. So, you know, I know that's my opinion. Right? Yeah, that was a real not good way to portray Bruce Lee. Yeah. I was not happy. One last thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Tomorrow in the UFC is Mosfar Evelev versus Lerone Murphy. And there's also Michael Page versus Sam Patterson. This is going to be a really, really good fight. Mosfar Evelev is like really incredibly well-rounded fighter. And Lerone Murphy has been proven that he is a sniper knockout artist with also excellent grappling pedigrees. And so it's like two incredibly high-level guys testing each other out to see who's going to be the next level champion. I can't wait. It's like UFC is a little weird sometimes lately, but one of the things that the shift to Paramount did is it gives you tons of fights basically for free. Like all you do is pay for Paramount Plus, which I was paying for anyway because I like Star Trek. And
you like the new one?
I did.
You did?
I did. It's actually really good.
Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, really good. Like sort of like Hogwarts in space, but well done and very emotional and keyed into like a lot of old Star Trek. So it was just fun show, cool. You know. And it doesn't feel like Kirk and Spock, but still, it's like doesn't feel like DS9 didn't feel like that either, or some of the other shows, you know. But I really enjoyed this one. But I can't wait for the fight. Now, there's some fights coming up that are just absolutely insane. There's also the famed White House card, whatever. But the matchups are pretty incredible. Hazmat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. That is something, man. That is two titans, wow, right? Ready to clash, ready to go to war. This is amazing, you know. So but especially the one coming tomorrow, I'm really looking forward to. And so anybody can check Paramount Plus. Okay, it's like
March 21st.
Yes, tomorrow. Yeah. And then the great thing is you can watch them, the old ones, right away. There, you can watch all the old fights anytime you want.
Yeah, and use promo code Martial Culture to get 10% off your first month of Paramount Plus.
No, I wish. I wish. Anyway, it's great to be back.
Yeah.
And I look forward to telling you how we did in the next few fights. But next week, we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, I think. But next week we'll leave that for next week.
We're going to talk about Iran.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. All right. That was great. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Oh, see you next week.
We're signing off, the fight is done. Lessons learned and battles won. The journey's long, but we've begun. Stay strong, stay sharp forever. The warrior's path is never through. Keep training hard and breaking through. Discipline's the bond we hold true. Martial culture, it's all in you. So until next time, keep the fire. Push the